Welcome back to Case Closed Anime Review, episode number 5, Take 2. Why am I doing now? Some of you probably be asking, why in the world am I doing Take 2 of an anime review episode I uploaded just yesterday? Very simple reason for that. I had a commenter say that there was no audio. I'm thinking, how? I thought the mic was on, and the fact that there's no audio, and I check and oh yeah, there's no audio. Great. Not the first time this has happened to me. This is third or fourth time this has happened to me. Matter of fact, even happened for part of a video I did for Comic Corner. Matter of fact, my next video is going to be a redo, with kind of like a redo of an actual Comic Corner episode. It's mostly just a special, just basically giving out my thoughts again for the same exact book. Because apparently no audio. Yep. This one I'm reviewing the 5th season of Case Closed. Yeah, this was a kind of a long season. A good I think it was 28 episodes, I think it was. Let me look it up on here. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't exactly have this up when, well, I put the thing up. Let's see. In Japan, this aired for a good 28 episodes. 28. Though there is one episode from this. Yeah, I think it's just one. No, I don't think so. Yeah. The thing with this particular season is that there's many multi-parters this one. Here are the multi-parters. Mystery in the Multi-Key, that's the first one. Second one is Recipe for Murder. The third is Scuba Dying. Third is Mystery Writer Disappears. Fourth is License to Die. The fifth one is The Forgotten Bond. The fifth is the Mysterious Snapper Murder Case. The sixth is a Traveling Drama Troupe Murder Case. There's also the Indiscriminate Threatening Stadium Case. And then we have a 3-part to close the season, the Magician's Lover's Murder Case. The first, second, third they have special subtitles with this one. Yeah, several of these seasons do actually have these, but this is not the only one. The next one won't be until it's not this particular season. I'm on season 6 right now. Yeah, it's not until season 7. So basically every couple years is like this. Yeah, you have the murder, the suspicion, and the resolution. There's even one episode that's really, really long. Episode 129. You know how long this episode is? This episode is roughly 2 hours long, though the version I watched was an hour and a half, probably because they cut all the commercials out of it. Okay, let's talk about the cases for this particular season. We had the Mystery Malton case, which is basically a guy who hires Richard Moore to dig up some guy's yard because he thinks that this guy murdered his sister and buried her body in his property. Conan, of course, had encountered this guy early in the day when him and the rest of the Junior Detective League were playing baseball. But before I continue with cases, I should point out though, up until episode 30, it's dubbed for the season. Yeah, the first 24 episodes of the season are in fact dubbed. The last 11 are not dubbed. Why? Because that's when Funimation stopped. Yeah, the reasoning for this is because apparently when the series aired on Cartoon Network, apparently it didn't have good ratings. From what I heard, it aired at 6:30 in the morning. Which I'm thinking, why in the world would you air that freaking early for? If you want to air a good show like this, why not have 8, maybe 9 o'clock when probably some little kids probably will be asleep at this point? But no, we had to suffer through bad rating for the show, and also apparently it didn't sell too on DVD, even though from what I've read, the 5th season actually sold really well. As for why in the world they decided not to include the last 11 episodes, unknown the reason why for this, and also the fact there is an initiative to get the series to get Funimation to actually continue with the dub. And as of last year, it has made much progress. I've heard they have a petition, and they've had a good number of signatures signed, but who knows when Funimation is going to continue it. And here's kind of the thing. The reason Funimation is much of this, aside from the whole thing, the reason I found the whole thing with low ratings back to DVD sales, because apparently some fan asked one of the producers about this series at a Comic-Con, and this producer was so rude to this person. He says that we are done with case close is done, like because the whole thing of the fact the low DVD sales and the low ratings, that we are done with case close. Case close is done. Move on. That's paraphrasing exactly what the guy said, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear if this guy got fired for saying that, or he probably got dock days paid for disrespecting a fan at a Comic-Con. As far as I know, voice actors, the ones I've met, have never disrespected fans. They love their fans. This producer was a complete jerk. I'm not sure who the heck this guy was, but yeah, for disrespecting a fan like that, this producer should probably been fired or at least fined for what he did. And here's my opinion why Funimation probably doesn't sell these DVDs very well. Probably because they charge $60 for a freaking season. Why not? I don't know. Charge like... Now, here's kind of the thing. Today I picked up the 6th volume of Dragon Ball Super anime release on DVD. Do you know how much I paid for this thing? $30. I'm not sure exactly how much that Funimation charged Case Close for, but from what someone has told me about Funimation, sometimes they charge their DVDs. Sometimes they may charge $60, that's way too much for an anime season. Now, a movie, as far as I know, when movies that are released dubbed by Funimation, they don't charge very much for them. Well, not the ones I bought. In the case of, well, when I bought the movies that were dubbed by Viz Media, you know how much that cost me? About $20. Yep. And that was for the film The Last and Barto. When I got the film Fairy Tail Dragon Cry, that only cost me $35, which that's not bad per se, but the other reason why, because I bought it from a booth at Comic-Con. As far as I know, I think that this thing is usually sold, now even on Blu-ray, probably sold by $20, $25. Yeah. But charging $60 for a DVD season, is a terrible idea. Now, I've also seen that a couple Walmarts I've gone to, they sell the second season for Overlord for $42 and change. That is actually a little bit higher than sometimes some of the other stuff, but here's kind of the thing. Unlike, now, some of the stuff that Funimation releases, it's like 13, 14 episodes. Maybe 15 episodes. Overlord Season 2 was a 13 episode season, and $42 and change is not bad. I probably will get it at some point, but I probably won't get it right now, even though I really do enjoy the damn series. But in the case of Case Closed, yeah, and also, I really enjoyed the dubcast. Now, I did try to watch the replacement dubcast for a couple episodes. Man, these people suck! The audio was terrible. It's like the quality of animation went down. I like the official Funimation dubcast. They are fantastic at their job. If you watch the show, they are having a great time and they love playing their characters. This group probably just did it for a simple paycheck. Yeah, and the fact that, with the exception of one, almost a lot of these guys don't even sound anything like how they do. They're supposed to act in the dub. And also, Conan in the dub never refers to Richard Moore as Uncle. He does in the sub, but not in the dub. In the dub, he refers to Richard by his first name. Unknown the reason why that the dubbers decided to do this. Yeah, I have no idea why. The episode was okay, but... yeah, but back to the season itself. This opening 2 part was interesting, but it had an odd conclusion, though. They did set up how they found the body pretty much within the around the first half, around the halfway point of the first part of this two-parter, what the guy mentioned that from his homeland there's these cosmic flowers that grow, and she was given seeds for it, and she was buried. Apparently, she was buried in the construction site, not in the guy's property, but at the construction site next door. And the guy was definitely arrested for killing her, and my guess is, from the way that he described it and was shown in flashback, I don't think this is premeditated. No, I think that this was probably second. I don't think this. Yeah, if this was an accidental murder, if this was an accidental death, yeah, but he clearly hit her. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's charged with second-degree murder. That's just my personal theory, anyways. But at least when the police search his property, they actually ask his permission first, because normally, do you know what the procedure is for here? It's not just because the whole asking permission thing. You gotta get an actual warrant, a big piece of paper signed by a judge to do something like this. And they did find the jewels that the guy stole, because he actually stole it to get a chance to actually go to the guy's property. But they had good probable cause to actually to dig up the guy's property, because, well, buried jewels. Still suspecting the whole thing of a sister being buried there, but turns out, nope, it was not buried there at all. It was construction site. Yeah, and apparently this guy also, his face, his sort of striking resemblance to the villain from Mass Yaba Man. Yeah, it's an okay two-parter, not very interesting. The Hit and Run. Yeah, this episode was a particularly very interesting one. Well, at least also sort of a bit sad, where the murderer of the episode tried to run over a little girl with his car. Yeah. Luckily enough, she wasn't hurt that bad. But at least that Conan and the other two guys actually had a good reason for going after him. Yeah, they probably wanted to beat him up for attempting to run over their friend. And of course, I'm sure that Richard Moore probably would love to punch him for attempting to run over a little girl. He only did it for attention, and it turns out the reason why he did it, because he also on the way would, in a span of about 5 minutes, take the time to get a knife, stab his former boss, get an identical car, and they would actually, get there. Oh yeah, he says the reason why they kept stopping every few feet was because his car kept stalling. But from the way Conan described it, yeah, the guy was stopping on purpose just to make sure he caught up to them. So yeah, this guy lied, and eventually, yep, they did prove that he was definitely the murderer. Recipe for murder. Yeah, in the case of the murderer, the murder victim for this one, yeah, her name is Misty, and now I'm thinking like maybe some stunning woman. Nope, it's some overweight woman who steals one of her students' recipes for no reason, and she's been called out about this many times, but she still keeps doing it. And the guy who killed her the most interesting way I've ever seen anybody kill anybody on a show. He did it with a threaded needle. I'm like, that's quite interesting. And how this was discovered was because Conan noticed that she wasn't breathing properly, like something on her back, so he unbuttoned back of her shirt. Excuse me, and some of the other ones, people were there, like, Conan, what are you doing? And all he was doing is simply examining her back. He wasn't doing anything like inappropriate to her. He just opened back to figure out what to come on. And he's the one who actually found the little tiny little hole. Now, it was assumed because it was a tiny hole, the thing was a bee sting. And it turns out it was actually a thread needle. Yeah. And the reason why that the guy killed her, there's actually two reasons. One is actually a very minor reason. The big reason was because she was stealing recipes from the woman he loves. Yep. That's basically what happened. Yeah. It's an okay two-parter. Nothing much more to time about. School of Ghouls. This was an interesting one, where there was no murder case. It was just somebody moving around stuff, like thinking the school's haunted, but nope. Yeah, it turns out the reason why one of the exhibits kept moving was because their homeroom teacher kept moving it. And there was something else involving like some kind of other mysterious sound. Turns out that was actually the vice principal. Excuse me. Yeah. Who now didn't show up for a couple of days to school. And the reason why, because he's looking for his toupee. This was an interesting one, and I really do like it. Because description for a murder. Ugh. This one, who the murderer is, it was so predictable. And I'm kind of like, okay, why the heck would this police chief allow this town doctor to examine a woman he had a relationship with? Now, Richard Moore easily suspected this guy was definitely the murderer, but he didn't have enough evidence to prove it. Look up Conan says find evidence, no problem. And they got him. Though I would have thought maybe that because he was in a relationship with her, that they would have, I don't know, not allow him to examine her dead body. Like, call an outside official and have them examine. Of course, they did do that after he had already made his autopsy report. Yes, that was by far a really stupid idea for this police chief to do. And look how this is just a filler episode, this one. Yeah, just a filler one. Right after they were Scuba Diving. This one I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, and this also return of Rachel's mother, who, here's the thing. This woman is 37, still very beautiful woman her age, and her estranged husband would refer to forward young women. Then hang out with his estranged wife, though he claimed her to be his ex-wife. Even though they're not divorced. Yeah. Oh, what does she do for a living? She's an attorney. Yep, she's an attorney. Yeah. And how the attempted murder happened, this one goes the person to just survive at the end, is that she used a sneeze snake to bite her in the hand, and that apparently was the reason for all this. Excuse me. And the reason why this woman intended to kill her, because she had apparently stole the guy she was in love with, and the woman did regret it. Apparently, they may have broken up because this woman Kimberly was engaged to him, engaged to this guy. It's possible they may have broken up engagement because of this, but as far as I know, nothing came of this because these characters never hear the manga ever again. Nope, they never do. Yep. Mystery One. This one I found very interesting because this parents of a writer, and of course Harley shows up in this one, and they do eventually find him at a hotel. He's already dead. Yeah, it turns out it was suspecting him to be kidnapped, but nope, not kidnapped. Excuse me. He wanted to go into hiding because he was on the verge of death. He didn't want it to be publicly knowledge. Yep. And just by some weird coincidence, they had this two-part right afterwards, where Harley invites Conan, Rachel, and Richard out to his hometown and give a tour, and of course hang out in a police car. They also run into his childhood sweetheart, which he does have feelings for, but he and his childhood sweetheart refuse. They can't exactly feel the feelings to each other because the dude's too darn stubborn. Yeah. Though this was by far the only time I actually heard, Kristen dubbed, because after this I'm basically hearing her subbed, because there was only about 12 more episodes left of the dub. Yeah, and this involved a series of wallet murders. Yeah, this is known as the wallet serial murder, and as for who the person was, it was the guy accompanying them all along, which I thought, okay, that I did not suspect this guy being involved, and it turns out the reason why he did kill these people. Excuse me. The reason why he killed them was because they were involved with the death of his father, who was a driving instructor. And that's what the whole title means, license to die. Yeah, apparently these people were responsible for the guy's death, and this guy killed off most of his father's graduating class, exception the senator. And some people thought maybe it had something to do with senator. It kind of did, but nothing to do with the scandal he was involved with. Nope. This is an interesting one, and as far as I can tell, I think this was Harley's last appearance for the rest of the season, because he does not return after this for the rest of the season. Nope, he doesn't. Nope. And then we have a Mas Yaba murder. Yeah, this one was a staged murder-suicide, and it turns out that, well, the guy really was murdered, even though it clearly was suicide, but it was supposed to be fake bullets. It turns out they were real because, well, apparently this guy had stolen his brother's comic book and was responsible for his brother's death. As for why he wanted the comic book, no idea. Yeah. Simple as that. Of course, it's one of those filler episodes for the season. Yep. The Big Sting. Yeah, going to a spa resort. Yeah, this is a murder done by bees. And the murderer was the manager. Why did he kill her? Why did he kill the victim? Because she treated her like dirt. The Forgotten Bond two-parter. I actually didn't really care for this one at all. It was throughout the investigation, it was not interesting, and it was very predictable that it was the sister, and it took a while for this one to be unveiled. And how they figure this out? Her headband. Yep, the headband that she wore on her head the whole time, and that was the reasoning for her to commit. That was the reason how they found out she was a murderer. Yeah, it's not a very interesting one. Now, the 120th episode of the season, which is also the 130th episode of the dub, this was the last official dub episode released by Funimation. This one was an okay one, even though it was a filler episode, but it was quite interesting because Miss Wendigo disappeared. Eventually, they did find her. Turns out she was in the basement of the building, and the person who put her there was the woman she replaced. Yep. It's kind of predictable, but it was a pretty interesting episode. Yeah. 3132, this is the one where I encountered the awful dub, and I just didn't really care for this one, so I just moved on after this one. The Traveling Drama Troupe Murder Case. This was the first two-parter and the first episodes I watched subbed. Yeah, this one involved a couple people getting killed over the fact that one of the people was in fact an actual life thief, and the first person killed was the writer who apparently had been blackmailing the real thief for about this information. Excuse me, and was highly suspected was the chairman of this drama troupe who was a murderer. But yeah, he actually had nothing to do with it at all. And it was kind of suspected he was involved in the writer's death, but yeah, they did very much later on at the end of the two-parter to prove that, yeah, he had nothing to do with the murder at all. In the case of the second murder, it was suspected, but he was knocked out after the murder was committed. So, yeah, there was no plausibility he could have been the murderer. And we also introduced to his adorable little sister, who looks about the same age as Conan, and also is the second woman in the series to develop a crush on him. And, like, right after this, she would not appear again for 9 years. She would not appear again. I looked it up. She has not returned until season 14 of the show. Yeah, it takes her a long-ass time for her to show up again. And then we have the Black Organization robbery case. Yep. Yeah, this one involved like a bank robbery, and it turns out the person who planned it was actually a bank teller. And according to officials, she committed suicide because she couldn't handle the guilt, planning this whole thing. Yeah, it turns out the thing was actually planned by the same people who actually shrunk Conan back into pilot. In the anime, the last of these characters appears back in episode 1. In the manga, last time was that two-parter, that standalone episode involving a train bombing. Yeah, the characters Jin and Baka. Yeah, the first appearance. They do appear in the following episode, which is the first appearance of Anita in the series. Yeah, it's kind of like with this one, it's kind of like they combined two stories into one and made it into a 2-hour episode, which took me a while to get through, but was quite interesting. And then we had the whole thing with Sakura Game. This is the one that revealed that she was actually 18 years old, even though she kind of revealed she was actually 84, but nope, she's actually 18. This all involved like a guy who was trying to get money because they had something against the TV station. Because apparently, and this is quite weird, apparently they decided to air a special the same day as he was going to rob this particular bank. What the special was, the two-part never revealed it at all. Not even the manga they revealed what the heck this was. It's like they had some random special and the page was closed. Simple as that. And it turns out the guy who planned all this was the cameraman. Yeah. The last 3 episodes, which features the return of the Kaido Kid, the Phantom Kid. Yeah, I did not suspect that he would show up again in the series, but it's great to see the guy. And it turns out he was actually the guy who was actually chubby. Which is the second time in this series you have a guy who's overweight, and he's really not overweight at all. He's actually a big fat lie. Yeah. Now, as for why the guy was killed in this particular case, yeah, it turns out it was a woman who happened to be the granddaughter of a famous magician who died in an accident. And the reason why she killed him is quite stupid. Because he made nasty remarks on the internet. Really? This is the reason why he killed him. Because he made some bad remarks about your late grandfather, and that's the reason why I killed him. Okay. It's quite odd, but okay. Yep. But this overall was a good season. My biggest high point of the season was return to the Kaido Kid again, because, well, it had been like 2 years in the anime since he was last seen. And he was seen last time in a 2-parter. So it was nice to see him again. Yep. But not much else to say. A really good season. Though I thought it was quite odd in the case of the anime, where they had the whole thing for the first friend's need, like, one episode right after her sister got killed off. Yeah, because they say it was some forgotten case, even though it was just the last episode. I don't know if that was done via writing wise. It's particularly very weird of how they did that. Excuse me. But overall, fantastic season. Excuse me, okay? So, that's it for this particular review. Hopefully no one has any problem with the audio this time. I hope to God no. So, my next video is a redo of a comic corner. Well, mainly it's doing a special, okay? But it's a trade that I was reviewing, I did review, but because of the whole thing of no audio, that's the only reason I'm re-recording, okay? But until this next view, bye.